shed a tear in 30 years. Oh my. Over anything.
Your answer was already given with the message. The dragons that are about you, those are your protection. You must recall that whenever you send out your warriors to protect you, not only do they keep things from you, but they keep you from things. It's not that you lack empathy or that you lack emotion. It is a type of discipline that you have adopted throughout your lifetime, not just this time on this plane, but other times as well. It goes back to something that occurred in a previous life, as you would put it. This was unintended. I must move back so that this one can follow their protocol. As this one becomes comfortable with our presence, he will not require that you should open yourselves and prepare yourselves to receive. This will be a different lesson this time around. So have your tablets ready so that you might record that which resonates with you. The question that was presented at this time was, who are we? And we are many, of course. This also sounds like the story of Legion. The story of Legion, which is woefully incorrect. Legion was many who followed a single thought. And as that thought traveled through time, that thought did not have the opportunity to grow, to expand. It did not decay. And as you have been taught, all things must decay. If something should not decay, it cannot grow. The purpose of growth, as this one was reading, is that your light, your spark, might increase. Because while you are here, and this spark is within, entombed within your body, it's illumination. It is as Christ had written, a light under a bushel. You are all sparks of light, and that light is in a bushel. You are the bushel, and as you begin to shed those things, those thoughts, those emotions, those complications, because mankind has a propendous desire to complicate things. They push things out of reach. And the reason they push them out to reach is because it's not that they are fearful of what it is. They push it out of reach because the influence that it has upon them is strange. Do you like that which is strange to you? I think not. And because it is strange, we have the habit of And because you hold back, you hold on. You hold on. You have no questions at this time. But the one child had a question, a very good question. Her question was, why have I not cried? You associate tears with emotion. We all express in different fashions. What of those who do not express emotion? They express their light in a different way, and yet, because they are understood, they are condemned. They are strange. The only way for you to accommodate the strangeness that is about you is accept it. Progress is a strange thing. It is a strange path. It is a strange event. And you can only travel it one time. Only one time. Because when you move from this light to the next light, you do not bring what was in the first light with you to the second light. No, the only thing you bring is that which you have learned, that which has grown within you. For as you progress, that which is no longer serviceable falls away like dust in the desert. Now then, are there any questions? I see. I have a question for you. Actually, I have a question for this one here. Why are you here?
We're supposed to respond.
Yes,
Like
question requires a response. And you always question, why you come here?
I'd like to learn.
But what do you want to learn?
Why am I here?
Why are you here? You ask the same question all of them ask. Why am I here? Why is anything here? What do you see in nature? What do you see out there? Why is a flower here? Why are these flowers here? This one purchases them to assist you so that you may feel better, so that you are good within. Some of you slip through those doors there with questions in your mind, feelings that you're unsure. And these flowers are to brighten your light. You are here to brighten your light. Because as your light brightens, the less there is to shroud it. What is your question?
How may I remember more?
Remember what?
Remember what it was like before I entered this incarnation.
Why would you want to remember?
Hey, so I can learn.
What can you learn from then that you cannot learn now? Are you not in a bushel? Were you not in a bushel before?
Not when I was light.
Not when you were light. But you are light now, are you not?
I'm going to pull your beard if you...
When you go into a house, and then you go into another house, are they different?
Maybe physically, but they're all shelters.
They are all shelters. Your bushel is a shelter for your spark. For your light, your bushel is a shelter. In your previous life, you were sheltered by a bushel. In the life before that, you were sheltered by a bushel.
Your turn.
What is your question? Not you. You don't know yet. You need time to think. You are fearful of yourself. We are all fearful of ourselves. It is good to be fearful of yourself. Do you know why it is good to be fearful of yourself?
No.
Because you will not harm another. Knowingly, there are many who are not fearful of themselves, and they wade through this ocean, creating havoc. And in their havoc, they leave all this for others to deal with, because they have no sense of self. They do not know they are in a bushel, because they are polishing the inside of the bushel. And do you know what happens when you polish the inside of a bushel?
You can't see out.
Incorrect.
Well, what do you know?
The light is reflected back. Too many of you spend time polishing your bushels, when you should be spending more time lifting it up. Because only when you lift the bushel up do you know what it is that is there. Now, what is your question? The white-haired one here. The twin. What is her question?
Sandy, we disconnected, so I don't know. I can ask
These visitations are tiresome on this one. Proper students come prepared. Improper students have no desire. Which are you? It is time for me to return and allow this to resume. Farewell, my students. So, what happened?
He wasn't happy with us not asking questions. The student must come prepared.
Ooh.
Yeah, and that would be fine if we knew what we were coming prepared for, but we didn't. He was disappointed, I guess, and said we weren't serious, basically, right? Something to that effect. But the rest of it was. He's that Socratic teaching where he always answered a question with a question. You know, like what you do to get us to think further or deeper. A lot of talk about lights under a bushel. You know, we're all lights under a bushel.
Like you said, sparks.
Sparks.
I heard that.
Sparks which in our body must grow. That's why there has to be decay. Right. We have to decay in order to grow. When we shed our complications, really into humans having all these complications, and we make things worse for ourselves, the spark grows. There's something about we complicate things because the feeling of, I guess, getting this information, the esoteric whatever, the spiritual stuff is so strange to us. We get like overwhelmed, so we have to make things all complicated. And because as we do this, others see us and they think we're strange. We are condemned. The others that don't understand are not where we are at the point in our light, in our sparkness. We're condemned by others due to our strangeness, due to that strangeness. So we, that's where our little bushes, our shelters come in.
Okay. Some of that.
I was definitely called strange.
What was that?
I said I was definitely called strange.
Oh.
He said something about, Connie, those dragons, and, not shedding a tear so long or whatever, that we all express emotions in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
they
I
were
got that as
protecting
just a
her.
reassurance that,
It was a protection for her.
yeah, but that she is expressing emotions. It's just in a different way. We shed
In a
tears,
different
she
way,
does something
right.
else. Maybe she
The dragons
creates art.
are babies.
What was that? Dragons are what?
Like babies.
Oh. Did that response resonate with you?
It made sense, yes.
Okay.
Yes, it did.
I would never.
And
have come
I'm
up
strange
with
and
that.
proud of it.
Okay. I would never have come up with that. All right.
But I was afraid
Are you?
all the time. But he said I was afraid that was okay because that meant that I would not harm anyone intentionally.
Do you make it a point not to do that?
To not harm anybody?
Yeah. You think about what you're doing and what you say before you say it.
Not all the time, but sometimes. Sometimes I do. Because I don't know, with certain people, yeah.
Does it fit? what you were told? Does it fit?
Well, but then he said that was okay because that there are people that are not afraid and they will harm and basically intentionally. And I don't remember exactly because I didn't write it when it's talking. But they're sparkless. They're sparkless. And they just go around doing whatever.
Well, that doesn't make sense.
And there's no growth.
Sparkless? That doesn't.
Well, sparkless is my word.
It wouldn't say to
Okay.
use that word, but that they,
Okay.
because they don't have fear, I think they don't think about what they do, perhaps. They just say what they want.
Next week's discussion is going to be interesting.
He said this really tires you out.
Yeah, I'm exhausted.
So after he said about us being kind of right before, he said this really tires you out, and then he said about us being unprepared, and then he said it was time to go.
Betsy said this is the ancient one. I was not here for the first one.
So
this is the same person coming through?
I got a picture of, I'm just going to call it an ancient one because he was there in the corner. He's very tall. He's Asian, bone thin, his long white beards, the long robes, and his stance was this, with the palms pressed together. The big sleeves. You can hide your hands in your sleeves. Just that ancient dress, that ancient, probably Chinese. I don't know Chinese or Japanese, but it's that Far East.
We would call them Persians.
Okay. I didn't know that.
He's Zoroastrian.
Okay.
It's kind of giving me chills.
I thought that was African.
Yeah, I did too.
No. Zoroastrian? No.
Zoroastrian?
I always thought that was African.
No.
No?
No.
They're the first ones to introduce the concept of duality in light.
So that's why I called him an ancient one.
Okay, that was your take.
That was my interpretation
It's a very old.
of what I saw.
Is this the same one that came in previously?
He's the same one who's been here. This is the third time now.
Third time?
Yes.
What you did catch, Sandy, what you have any thoughts about it?
I thought it was great.
Because this works best with questions from you. Because other than that, they show up and they just start talking. Interaction, it can happen, but it can be flaky. Okay? Because I know I get information from them as I'm teaching. But the channeling, I'm not, as I said before, I'm not comfortable with that.
You're not comfortable with channeling.
I question it.
Whether it's real?
Yeah, exactly. I question it.
Well, they show you.
So
Or are you not comfortable with channeling because you don't like feeling like you're being taken over?
no, it's
Okay.
what you said before.
Well,
Is it real?
yeah.
Is it?
I could not get as much out of it until I turned around and I looked at you and I watched you channeling and your mannerisms as if you were mirroring, taking on the physicality of the person speaking through you as you were starting doing his mannerisms.
Okay.
Is one way that I could tell that you were. I wasn't even sure when the channeling was starting, and I wasn't even sure that that's what it was going to be.
Neither
I
was
didn't know what to expect, which is okay. But when I turned around and watched you taking on physical mannerisms that you don't usually do, when I knew that you were deep trance channeling, and your voice had changed. It was obvious your voice had become more soft. I was having trouble picking it up because your voice did become more soft than what it is now. I can hear you good now, but when you were channeling, I couldn't hear very good. I picked up a few words.
Well, he's asked, who are we? And he said, we are many. And then he said, it's the story of the legions, woefully inaccurate, many who followed a single thought and it was incorrect.
Yeah,
And then
he
he-
said, some people think of us as legion. Legion
Yes.
Legion followed. That's Satan. The legion was a bunch of angels or something, fallen angels. And
Legion,
legion.
it's either in Matthew or Luke. Legion was something that was cast out of a person and put into swine.
Oh,
And people associate that with evil. But that whole story is woefully incorrect.
Yes, that's exact
basically
words.
what he said. And, he said, all things must decay that did not grow, and your spike might increase. Anyway, illuminates as light, as Christ had written, you are all sparks of light, you are the bushel.
That makes sense.
Yeah, the one thing I think I've come up with in just the last few weeks, so why does it even happen? I feel compelled and obsessed to learn things about the Far East, mainly China.
Okay.
Just because of this, I'm not sure. So some of this is mundane learning. I've been reading a lot of books. And it sort of come to me from the ether. You know, when I looked in her eyes, it was not individual. I took it to be individual. I'm in love with this person individually. I think it's more a connection with 1.4 billion Chinese people.
One thing I can tell you, as far as religion goes, it all came from the Far East.
You know, that's what I'm coming up with. You know, everybody thinks Egypt is the oldest,
It's the oldest
No, it's-
civilization, but not religion. Religion came out of Far East. India, China, I'm thinking more India than China. But religion as we know it today has connections to Hinduism. All of it, Islam, Christianity, they have deep roots that go all the way back to Hindu religion.
That's where it all comes from. You know, I have read constantly Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East. Yeah, I asked for one time, when I was a little kid, I'm surprised they even came up with it. I said, Dad, why are these the only books that you read? And he said, because these are the only ones that make sense to me.
Yeah, religion as we know of it today came from Hindu religion.
You know who tried to take us apart was Herman Melville when he wrote Moby Dick, because he wrote that mysterious oriental people into his stories. And that's what he called them, mysterious, and they were. As if they contained more knowledge than anybody else did.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say knowledge, but their way. Because what is it that they teach us? They teach us harmony. What is it that they teach us? You suffer because you hold on to it. When we let go, that's decay. The process of letting go, it dies from you. It falls off. That is the decay. So in order to grow, you have to reach out. But while you're reaching out, you have to let go. Growth and decay. You have to have both of them to move forward. If you're not reaching out and you're not letting go, you're just twiddling your thumbs. That's all you're doing. So you have to have that. And what is it that we are fearful of? We're fearful of what we don't understand. And because we don't understand it, we push it away. That's the other thing. Attraction and repulse. But we do it, we make things complicated because we do it backwards.
we push what we're supposed to be attracting, and we attract what we're supposed to be pushing. No wonder we're confused. Makes sense to me. But yeah, I'm new to this. I'm not crazy about it. I'm acclimating as best I can. But, you know, I have to, well, what it comes down to is I have to convince myself that this is really happening. That's what it comes down to.
Okay.
You know, it's strange. And what is it that we do when we come up against something we're not familiar with? We're very hesitant if we don't run away.
Mhm. Right.
Well, it would have to be strange because you're giving up your own personality, letting someone come through you.
Mhm.
Well, you know, it's terms
It's
like
almost
that.
right.
It's terms like that that create the difficulty for me.
Sure it would.
Because I'm not giving up my personality. That's the thing. I'm not giving up my personality. I don't feel that sensation. Okay, what I experience is a presence that moves into my form.
Mhm.
A presence that moves into my form. I'm still here. They haven't really taken over. But you know, it's like two people sharing a coat,
Okay. Okay.
if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It's
makes
like
sense.
two people sharing a coat.
Okay.
All of a sudden, the coat you're wearing is gone from a large to a 4X.
Okay. Yeah,
And there are two of you wearing the coat.
okay.
Yeah.
There's you, and then someone, well, it's like someone in front of you steps in and puts the coat on as well.
Mhm.
And then it's the two of us.
Mhm.
And one has to follow the other. It's just the way it works. There's always this whole concept of dominance and submission. They're incorrect words to use, but they people can relate to them. So the idea is there can only be one there can only be one leader. You have a group of people, there can only be one leader. And everybody follows that leader. However, with doing channeling, okay, you make a conscious decision to become the follower. You're not being pushed aside. You're not really being possessed. You're just changing coats. And the other one comes in. You're still there, but only one of you can run the show. And it just determines who you want to run the show. And because of the terminology that people use and everything, you know, someone takes over. What are you going to think when you're told that someone will come in and take over you? Does that sound good?
No, it doesn't.
No.
It's what I run into with the China thing is language barrier, and trying to communicate through text is very difficult. Well, you can't get through human inflection in text, and it screws a lot of relationships up, because between us and them, they have different meanings for things than what we do. Even though you're going through a translator in your cell phone, and is doing the translating, it's not 100%.
No, because with a lot of languages, unlike ours, depend on tone, enunciation, because in some of the Oriental languages, if you are heavy on one sound and light on the other, and then you use the same word per se, and you're heavy on the first sound and light on the other, you've got two different meanings. Inflection, I think, is the term. You get it's different meanings the way it's inflected. So, but that's the experience with me. And it's what I've read, the terminology and everything that I have to work through. But I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
I read things, when you mentioned overcoat, that tripped something, because I read that when they were talking about what it's like to die when you leave the body. I heard the description, it's like taking off a long overcoat.
Yeah. So, all right, I'm gonna thank you all for allowing this to happen. And thank you for sharing it with me and